crooked. Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody can see me.
You on?
Yep.
Oh, should I work it?
In a minute. In a minute. I don't see anybody on yet, but I'm gonna get to work. I already shredded one head of cabbage, and I have another half here. So I'm just gonna cut this while I wait for somebody to come on. If you're on, say hi. Leave a comment. Cut this half in half so it's quartered, and then I'm gonna cut out this core. Ooh, it's kind of a wicked little core. I see somebody on. If you're on, say hello. I'm just shredding up this cabbage. When you cut the cabbage, you want it to be approximately 1/4 inch in slices. You can do this on a mandolin. I just prefer to cut it myself with a knife. As you can see, and it's not really hard to shred some cabbage. It's not too hard. It's pretty easy. I'm sorry if I'm not looking up, y'all. I'm trying to watch where I'm putting my knife. Hi, I'm from the employer, Kansas. Well, hello from Kansas. How are you, Cindy? Welcome to our page. Right now, I'm just shredding up some cabbage. I did a full head already, and I'm finishing up a half a head here. It's actually left from when we did corned beef and cabbage. So I only used half a head when I did corned beef and cabbage.
I'm not getting any comments for you.
Oh, you will. These are a little thick, so I'm going to cut them a little finer. I like to shred it a little bit finer because it makes it a whole lot easier in the long run. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Thank you, Cindy, for being here. I hope you enjoy our page. I hope you learned something. This is the last of the cabbage I got to trim. I say trim because it seems like when you shred it so fine, it's trim. And then comes the fun part. The fun part where you take out all your aggressions. What all kinds of stuff that I can. What do I can? I can, I make jams and jellies, obviously. Fruit butters. I can meat, soups, stews. Wow, lots of stuff. Vegetables, fruits. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Welcome, welcome. I'm just shredding up the last of the cabbage here for the sauerkraut. These are kind of big chunks, so I want to make them a little finer. What else do I can, honey? Fruit, vegetables, jams, jellies, fruit butters, tomatoes. When I can my tomatoes, yeah, that's my veggies. When I can my tomatoes, I always add garlic and basil to it when I can it because there's not a recipe that I don't add it anyway. So because I grow it, I just add it to my tomatoes. I do a lot. I can just about anything you can imagine. Watching you while waiting for, oh, you're getting your nails done? I got mine done the other day. I went from St. Patrick's green to kind of a semi-Easter color. I'm just trying to get some of this as fine as I can. So, we're done with this. Do you have to add anything to whenever you're canning, or can you just leave it without putting salt? As far as salt's concerned, I highly encourage you to watch my live from Sunday because I kind of explain that. I canned hamburger on Sunday. You do not have to add salt to a lot of your foods. I do add salt to my tomatoes because it does help preserve them, and it helps like with the acidity when you're canning it. When I can my beans, I add half of what it calls for in the Ball canning book because I don't like salty food. Like I would prefer to add salt when I'm preparing my food than when I'm canning it. But with my meats, I don't add salt to my meats. It does add an extra preservative when you're canning meats. While I'm talking, I'm gonna add the salt. Okay, so I have a head and a half of cabbage here. And I'll discuss it with you, Cindy, while I'm doing this. So I have a head and a half of cabbage. For every head of cabbage, you add a tablespoon of salt. And never use table salt with iodine. Always use some sort of sea salt. The sea salt that I have, ooh, there's a big chunk in here, is very finely ground. Very fine. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's very finely ground. So I'm going to add a tablespoon and a half because I have a head and a half of cabbage here. And then I'm going to mix that through. And while this sits for a minute, I'll talk to you. Because the salt is going to start to bring out the water in the cabbage. So we're going to leave this sit after I mix it through for a few minutes so it can work its magic. So this is, with sauerkraut, Cindy, it's very necessary to use salt. That is actually, excuse me, I gotta wash my hands. Whew. Boy, did I feel that salt. With the sauerkraut, you do have to add salt. That is actually what makes the sauerkraut. And it also is what starts the fermentation process. Okay, hang on, I see coming. Hold on. Let me see. I can green beans and tomatoes. I put butter in mine, no salted butter. Oh, that's interesting. I never put butter in mine, but that if that's what you like, it works. I mean, you can can butter. You can actually can butter. That's fine. That's fine. If you see, I don't like, because when you can food, it always exacerbates the flavor. It enhances it. So like when you can green beans, it's going to be like a really nice, intense, preserved flavor. When you can tomatoes, the same thing. It's going to be an intense flavor. You don't have to add salt if you don't want to. I mean, there's no written rule that says you have to add salt. It does add an extra preservative to your food. When I can my tomatoes, I do add salt. I think because I always can it in quarts, so I always add a teaspoon of salt. It does for tomatoes. It just helps with the acidity. It helps kind of regulate the acidity when you're processing. Green beans. If you don't want salt in your green beans, I'll tell you what. I don't like salty beans, so there have been green beans that I've added no salt, but most of the time, if I add salt to my green beans, I literally only add half of what it calls for. Because when you can it and it like makes it so intense, I think the green beans taste super salty, and I don't like that. Because I use my green beans for a lot of things. Sometimes I'll put them in soup, stews, whatever, casseroles. But if I'm just pouring them out of a pan and eating the green beans, I don't like all that salt. So you do you. Your kitchen, your rules. That's what I say. Your kitchen, your rules. If you don't like salt and you like butter, can it. You can can butter. You can literally can butter. What did you say, honey?
My phone just went offline.
Oh. Excuse me, I need a drink of water. And butter, you don't even boil the butter when you can it. You literally put it in the oven and you melt the butter in the pan, put it in the oven. If y'all want me to show you how to do that, you can, because you can your butter and you don't need refrigeration, and your butter is preserved. Like for 3 to 5 years, you have butter without refrigeration. So you do you. It's your kitchen, and I think that's a great idea, putting butter in it. And if it's no salt, because like I've said in my last live, some people can't handle the salt because they have health issues. So you do you. It's your kitchen, your rules. The preserving process the salt helps with the preserving process, but it is absolutely not a necessity. It is not a necessity. So you do you. And I think that's a great idea, putting butter in yours. I think that's a great idea. Oh, see, there you go. You can't have the salt. Don't add it then. Don't add it. When you process, your process is your preservation. You don't have to have salt. So if you can't have salt, don't do salt. That's perfectly fine. Thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate it. And thank you for being here. I think that's I really appreciate your feedback, because I think that's a fantastic question, to be honest with you. I think that's a great question. And but this you have to have salt. For sauerkraut, you have to have salt, but it has to be sea salt. And I will say, I do know, I'm not a physician, like I don't have some kind of like doctorate or whatever, but I do know that if you're using sea salt, as in this, and I'm seeing the moisture come out of this, you're probably not going to see it on camera. When you use sea salt, using sea salt in things like this is a safer alternative than table salt, because the table salt has added minerals and things that can sometimes, that's what actually causes blood pressure issues. Where if you use a mineral salt like sea salt, which I'll show y'all. See, this is like a really fine sea salt. So the sea salt, it's more natural. It's not like super processed. Your sauerkraut you're making is making a big jar. Oh girl, yes, I will have a big jar. I will show you that.
Couple of jars.
I figured I was going to have a lot. One head usually fits a quart jar. Honest to goodness, this is a lot. But one head of cabbage usually will fit a quart jar. But because I have a head and a half in here, I grabbed my half-gallon jar. And I washed these and I put them in the oven. And that's how you sterilize these for this kind of process. I put these in the oven. And you just wash your jars and put them in the oven. You basically are drying them in the oven. And you just put them in between 250 and 275 until they're dry. That's basically how you're sterilizing your jars in the oven. Because there are certain things that you, like when you put dry ingredients into a jar, you do want something dry, but you want it to be clean. So you just bake it in the oven. It's the same as if you were boiling it on the stove, but you don't want the moisture. Do you put them in a stone jar? I just use ball jars. You can do this in a crock. You can do this. You definitely can do this in a crock for sure. You'd have to find an old one because I don't know that they make new ones. But they do have sauerkraut crocks. Pickling crocks, I think is what they're called. I actually have a few in the house, but they have things in them, so I can't show you. But actually, can you get the one in the front hall? That one's kind of intact. Yeah. We do have some here. You could put it in a crock, and they have wooden weights that you put on it so that you can ferment it in a crock. Yes, you can put it in a stone. Well, a stone jar is basically a crock. But what I do is I put it in a mason jar, and there's two things I use, because when this once we start doing this, you'll see it gets to be like really a lot of moisture. But once you put it in the jar, you have two options. To hold, you always have to keep your cabbage under moisture. Okay, Cindy, this is our crock, okay? And it has a lid. And you just put your sauerkraut in here, and then you just put something on top to weigh the sauerkraut down. This is what they used to do back in the day when they made big bunches of it. Yes, you can use a crock. If you can get your hands on a crock, you can use a crock for sure. Thank you for that question. I appreciate it. Yeah, they have wooden weights, and honestly, you could use anything to weigh your stuff down. To be honest with you, a lot of people use the core of the cabbage and push it down. I don't like that because it takes a chance of the core getting moldy, which is not safe in my opinion. But honestly, I just think this is so much easier. And canning jars are readily available. But like I said, once we get this going, you'll see a lot of moisture come out of here. The most important part of making sauerkraut is to make sure you keep that cabbage down in the water that this creates. That's the most important part. So in order to keep that down, you can use these springs. Yeah, I kind of think it's more my jam. Canning jars. I have a bazillion of them in the house. So I agree with you, Cindy. I would rather use canning jars. But you can use this spring, and the spring goes down in there, and when you put the lid on, it holds the cabbage down. Just put it in here, and it holds it down. I prefer, although this is readily available, you can actually get the spring kit with the lid. I don't think it looks like this. I think the lid looks different, but you can get the spring kit with the lid at Walmart. I see them at Walmart, fermentation lids and springs. You can get them at Walmart. But my preference is a weighted glass. This is what I use because it just kind of plunks down in there. You don't have to think about it. When you open the jar to burp it, you don't have to worry about the spring coming up, pulling the extra sauerkraut out, or pulling sauerkraut out of the liquid, pushing all it back down, and then getting the spring back down. So honestly, my preference is the glass weight. It's literally just a piece of glass that is in there. And if you want, I will get the link for these, and I will place it in here when I get off the live. But I just use the glass weight. And it literally just plunks down in there, and you'll see that. And it holds that liquid down in there, or holds that cabbage down in liquid, because that's the most important. You do not want exposed cabbage, because that's what will mold. But if it's down in the salt solution, it doesn't mold. It doesn't mold. It gets kind of bubbly, which is what fermentation is. Gets kind of bubbly, but that's all good, because that means it's working. So now I'm going to put a pair of gloves on, and the only reason I'm using gloves, because my husband, he'll wash his hands. He doesn't have the same thing. I use gloves because I tend to get dry hands, and what we do here, the salt will definitely take all the moisture out of my hands. You're welcome, Cindy. Don't hesitate to ask questions. I appreciate your interaction, and I appreciate the questions because you're getting my mind going. Now, the other thing that I wanted to make mention is I do not can my sauerkraut. I don't can it. It's not necessary. Once you get through the fermentation process, you can definitely leave your sauerkraut in your refrigerator indefinitely. There is not a timeline. It can stay in your refrigerator indefinitely. That salt is your preservative. It is also what causes the fermentation. And as you saw, the coolest part of sauerkraut is cabbage and salt. There's nothing more. It's that simple. But if you look at a can or a bag of sauerkraut, number one, they process it. And when you process it, it takes all of those essential probiotics out of it. It kills all that good bacteria that your body needs. This is so good for your body. It's like better than yogurt. And yogurt is good for you.
Trying to get our expressions out.
My husband's talking on the sideline here because he's not on the camera. But this has, I'm watching the moisture. Oh. This has super nutrients. It's like super nutrients because this has excellent probiotics. Better, and my mom always said, if you're having problems with your gut, you need some fermented food. And I'll tell you what, this helps. And I'm not talking about making you run to the bathroom. The stuff that my husband was kind because I hadn't made sauerkraut in a while. He thought he was being kind. He brought a can of sauerkraut home. I made a nice dinner. And I'm glad you're here, Cindy. I'm very glad you're here. Thank you for being here. I ate the sauerkraut, and it was only minutes later I was running to the restroom because there's stuff in it that isn't supposed, you just don't need it. And when you process it, you take those probiotics out of it, and that's essential. So it looks like, actually this is, I don't know if you guys can tell, it's actually starting to sink now. I'm seeing it down to this line. This is quite a giant bowl here, but it's normally on top of my refrigerator, but I do use the things that you see. So it's starting to sink down, which means the salt is taking the moisture out. So it's time to get our aggressions out. This is the fun part. Are you ready? This is where you just take it and crunch. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Punch, 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 crunch. This is the fun part. And you just keep crunching and twisting. And I don't know if y'all can see me. I hope you can. I think you can. You crunch and you twist. Don't move the camera, please. I can see it. Crunch and twist. And punch, punch, punch. And you just keep getting your aggressions out. Look, this is really already, it's already working. You just crunch and twist. This is the fun part, man, because you can just think about who you're mad at, get your aggressions out. You mad at anybody, honey? You need to get your aggressions out. Yeah, this is the fun part.
That's what a baseball bat's for.
Yep. You just crunch and twist and punch and twist. Yeah. This is the fun part, though. You just get your aggressions out. Just make sure you're twisting when you do it, because you want to break that cabbage down. I'm knocking my stuff off the table. Knocking my stuff off the table. Can you maybe put it on the counter so I'm not knocking it all down? Okay. Well, no, the stuff that's on the table, I'm afraid. Not the stuff on the table. Yep, you just punching, twisting, and I don't know if y'all can hear that crunch, but that crunch is breaking that cabbage down. Like I said, this is the fun part. See? Yep. Yes, Lori, now you know why. She said now she sees why I didn't do it yesterday. You can take them off so they're not wiggling if you want. Yeah, I kind of sometimes do this. Like kind of scrunch it in my hands. I don't know why I do it. You don't have to. Just to me, I think it kind of like breaks it up and separates it so you don't have big globs. I don't know. Yeah, this is why I didn't do it yesterday. I was having some fierce back spasms. And it does take a little physical activity. But you know, honestly, you can do this if you're sitting down. You don't have to be standing up. And you don't have to do as much cabbage. If you don't want as much, don't do as much, and it's not going to be as big a bowl.
It's really shrinking.
Yeah, it's shrinking. I don't know if y'all can see it. I'll show ya. I'm pushing the stuff down, flicking cabbage everywhere. I'm glad I washed my table. See, it was up here. Like up here. And it's already shrinking down. And that's what we want. We want it to shrink down. So we're taking our aggressions out, crunching, breaking, punching, punching, punching. But it's not hard. It's definitely not hard. I mean, it's not like, it's not back-breaking hard. My husband washed his hands, so I think I'm going to let him break some down. I think it's looking really good already, actually. Oh, you know what you can do? Wash the rolling pin. I forgot that. It's under the snowman.
Oh, that way.
Yeah. Yes, I'm having to wash the rolling pin. Y'all will see why in a minute. This is really breaking down really nice. This is awesome. Woo! Flicking it everywhere. Okay. This is working out nice. This is going to be some good sauerkraut, I'll tell y'all. Honestly, I remember when I was growing up, I would spend a lot of time with my grandma. And like I said previously, my grandma's German. So I remember in the kitchen, I remember her doing this. And I was telling my husband, I have to find a recipe, but I remember my grandma doing it with red cabbage. I got a big chunk here. And she always added apples too. She did it with red cabbage, but she did it this way, but she did it with red cabbage. And when I was growing up, at mealtime there was always fruit on the table. You always had a bowl of fruit on the table. And usually it was something that we canned. But if there wasn't fruit, she would have that red cabbage sauerkraut with the apples. She had apples in the red cabbage. It was sweet. It was sweeter. It wasn't like a bitter, sour sauerkraut. And I'm gonna find a recipe. I'm gonna find the right recipe. But I'm gonna figure out how she did that, because when she didn't have fruit, she had that on the side, and it was delicious, and it was sweet. It was delicious. The red cabbage with apples. I don't even remember what it was called. I just remember she had made it. So she did it this way, and she also did it with red cabbage. I'll tell you what, you could do this with red cabbage, just with red cabbage. It doesn't have to be green cabbage.
You could probably go online for German recipes.
That's what I'm thinking. I could find one somewhere. I bet the Tiki Taki would let me know. There's a lot of people on there that share a lot. And that's what, you guys will see me share TikTok videos in the page, because I follow a few people on TikTok that really, they're so helpful. This is really breaking down good. They're so helpful. I have actually learned a lot from some of them. And like yesterday, I shared the girl that gardens. She has fantastic gardens and fantastic ideas. But she also, her thing is eat what you grow. So she has great ideas for things you grow, including, which is astonishing, sunflower flour. She makes flour out of her sunflower stems. Eat what you grow. I love to grow my sunflowers, to make flour out of the sunflowers. Ha! Okay, here, I gotta see if you guys can see it. I don't know if y'all can see it. There's, whoops! Let me try that again.
Why don't we just tip the camera?
Here, you could do that. I don't know if y'all can see it.
Yeah.
But there's a pool of water here starting. That's the moisture coming out of that cabbage. Ooh. Glad I put this towel down. Everything wants to move on the table.
Am I centered?
There we go. That's better. And if you didn't notice, I had, like I said in my previous videos, this is my old enamelware table. I had an enamelware table growing up. Want to take a turn, honey?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to let my hubby take a turn. You guys can watch him do it. I'm going to wash my gloves. It's breaking down good, though.
This is harder than what I was doing yesterday.
What were you doing yesterday?
Working on the garden fence.
Oh, yeah. Yep, we had a decent day yesterday, so hubby was fixing up the garden yesterday. He was fixing it up a little bit. So, because we had a tough week. Ooh, I made you all crooked. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. It's still kind of been crooked. What the heck?
Huh?
It's still a little bit crooked. I don't know what I did. Bumped it wrong, I think. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to get y'all, like, dizzy. Yeah, yesterday we had a decent day. This winter here was pretty fierce. We had 2 snow events that, in our area, ended up, like, with 5 feet of snow each time. So, I think the snow total for our area was, like, 24 feet this winter. So we've had a lot of snow. So that affected the fencing around our garden. We do have a container garden in an old canoe that was left in the house when we moved in. We couldn't find a home for it, so we turned it into a garden. The weight of the snow on that kind of made it separate a little bit, so he worked on that yesterday. So my hubby was working on the gardens yesterday, trying to kind of get us ready for it. So I think y'all can see him crunching. That is really looking good. It's starting to really pull moisture out. It's breaking down considerably. It's a lot smaller than it was when we started. If y'all have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I see there's 6 people on. If you're on, please say hi. Let me know you're here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your company.
Like, I'm not company?
I appreciate their company as well. What was that? Did you hear that snarky stuff? Did you hear that snarky stuff? Ha! Hi, Donna. How are you? How you doing? It's kind of a cruddy day here, isn't it, Donna? So it's a good day to make sauerkraut, don't you think? It's kind of a crummy day. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Shannon. Peggy's on. Hi, Sheree and Pat. Hi, Shannon.
Hi,
How are
Peggy.
you? Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it. I love all the company. This is really breaking down. Here, let me show them the difference. I know. This is crazy cool. Look at this, y'all. It started up here, and now it's down here. That's a lot. It's breaking down really good, and it feels really good. And here's, you know what the big test is? Tasting it. It should taste like ocean water. It should have a salty taste to it. It should taste kind of like ocean water. Thanks, Donna. If it doesn't have a salty taste as you go along, you do have to add more salt. The salt is what helps make the process work.
I think we're good.
To put it in the jars?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's good fun time now.
Uh-oh. You stay down.
Don't you dare. The kitten was trying to get on the table. He's still in that mischievous stage. Yeah, I really think I'm going to put this in the half-gallon jar. I was going to put it in 2 smaller jars. I was thinking about refrigerator space, but I got enough time to make room. Yeah, this is breaking down real nice. It's also sliding across the table. Have not made sauerkraut yet, but can just about... Oh, good for you, Peggy. She cans just about everything.
Good.
I've seen you do a lot of baking. I see you do, and your baking looks amazing. And I'll tell you what, Peggy, still to this day, and we are going to do it out in the garage, still to this day, the only pizza crust recipe that I use is yours. It is like the best pizza crust ever.
On the old wood stove in the garage.
On the old wood stove. We make the pizza crust that you gave me the recipe for, and we cook it out on the old wood stove. And we are going to show that live here. But that recipe's from you, Peggy. All right. Here comes the fun part. I think I still need a towel here. So here's what we do. You pack it in the jar.
Want a plate front of that? Catch it.
No. It'll be okay, because this is I bleached the towel, so. So we put some in the jar. And then you use anything that you can. It is a great recipe, Peggy. Canning is something I want to learn to do, so I'm watching close. I'll give you every possible tip that I have. I'll share it with you, and if I learn something new, I'll share it with you. I hope I inspire you to get canning, Shannon. I hope I inspire you. And I will show you, I know the meat wasn't easy, but I will show you how easy it really can be. So, you can use a mallet, whatever you want. I use my rolling pin. And you put a little in and you start smashing. You smash it in the jar. I don't have a mallet, but my rolling pin works perfectly.
Wood for the mallet in there anyhow.
There's mallets this size. But my rolling pin works. And once you just smash it in the jar, and you smash it until you start seeing a good amount of liquid in there. Water. If this pulls the water out. Smashing it pulls the water out. And you're not going to hurt your jar. These jars really are made to kind of not take a pounding, but take a pounding, if that makes sense. These jars are made to handle this kind of stuff. My husband put that glass on the table and I'm afraid it bounces off. This is another way to get your aggressions out too, so just think about who you're mad at or what you're mad about. It works great. Just pound it down till you see some moisture. I'm not seeing too much, not enough for my liking anyway. But it's breaking down. Yeah, it's breaking down pretty good actually. So I'm just going to keep adding to the jar. And you have to be patient. You can't just pound, you can't just put it all in there and pound it down. Because the stuff at the bottom really is not going to get that aggression that it needs. It's not going to get what it needs. You really do have to do it layer by layer. That's very important. I'm thinking I probably should use my canning funnel, but we're getting it. You do have to do it layer by layer. It's very important. Because honestly, I mean, if you think about it, when you're pounding it, you are just gonna, I mean, you're just gonna get what's on top. You really do have to make sure you get each and every part of it pounded. And like I said, well, there's lots of water in here. That's cool. In the bowl. You just gotta get your aggressions out. Who are you mad at? Are you mad about work? Are your kids frustrating you? Is your wife frustrating you? Did that person cut you off in traffic? Are you mad at the news? I don't watch the news. I have a reason, but I don't watch the news. Are you mad at what you saw on the news? Whatever it is. I'm sick of snow. That's my thing. You know what? I saw a sign the other day in front of a church, and I thought it was so appropriate. I don't do the give up something for Lent, okay? But, because I praise the Lord every day. I praise Him, I thank Him, I honor Him. But I saw a sign in front of the church and I thought it was so appropriate. Especially around here. Can I give up snow for Lent? I was like, amen! I'll give up snow for Lent, thanks. That's what I'm thinking about right now as I pound this down. I'm tired of snow. Look at that. It's going down in the jar. This might seem like a lot, but you'll be surprised how much I get in this jar by pounding it down. Just thinking about whatever. I put the towel under here because I have the metal table, and the metal table kind of bounces, and it is a little slippery. I don't know if you necessarily need it. For me, I just think it's an added assurance that things aren't going to slide away, you know? So, that's why I have the towel down. Because my table's a little bouncy. It's an old table. I love my old table. Growing up, that's what we had, was a metal table. An enamelware table is what it's called. It's an enamelware table. We have had 716 inches of snow and counting here in the Rocky Mountains. Ugh. Dang. My mom was telling me, I don't know where she did it, but my mom was telling me here, we had 24 feet of snow this winter. Feet, not inches. 24 feet. I don't know where she saw it, but I was like, get out. But it feels like it. It feels like it. I mean, so much, like the buildings, when I take a walk just around here, the amount of buildings and houses and roofs that collapsed, the amount of trees. The landscape is different here, just from all the snow coming, or the snow pulling the trees and everything down. We've had a lot of snow. We have had a lot of snow. Apparently you have too, Shannon. That's a lot too. 716 inches. Dang, woman. In the Rocky Mountains. I bet it's beautiful over there. I bet it's beautiful. That's a place I'd love to see. That is a place I would love to see. I would love to see it. I bet it's so pretty. I bet the snow's, even though it's a painted, I bet it's pretty. We're up to 56 feet this year. Oh my word. 56 plus feet this year. Oh my word. Dang. Oh my word. Wow. How in the world do you manage that? Like, really, how does anyone manage that? Oh my word. God bless you, girl. God bless you. But I bet it's pretty. I bet it's beautiful. I bet it's so pretty. I'm sure it's beautiful. See, now I'm here pounding and he leaves. Can't come and help me with this part. I'm just being funny. It's not that hard. I've done this with my grandkids. It is so fun. Stand here doing this at the table. Let the kids get their aggressions out. I don't like my teacher. I'm sick of homework. And it's fun to make the memories with the kids. It's mostly light, fluffy snow. See, I bet that's pretty, Shannon. I bet it's pretty. Light, fluffy snow on the trees. I bet that's pretty. It's got to be beautiful, especially in the mountains, you know? I bet it's beautiful. Yes, it's annoying to have all that snow, but I bet it's beautiful. I bet it's beautiful where you are. That's a lot of snow, though. It's so funny because every time I add cabbage in this jar, it's kind of hard to see because there's some on the side, but that's how low it is. I fill it to the top, and then when I crush it, it all goes down. And it's getting kind of juicy. I would say it's juicy with all the liquids down there. You can see a lot of liquid at the bottom. I don't know. Let me see if y'all can see it. I don't know if y'all can see it moving around here. But there's some liquid down here. There's little bubbles starting. And you want that. You definitely want that. That is important. And the more you pound it, the more liquid. It's very beautiful. I don't know if I've ever seen pictures on your Facebook page of snow. I know I've seen animals on your page. Of course, I bet the way the book face is, they don't show me a lot of stuff. There's times I'll just think about somebody and go find their Facebook page so that I can see what's going on in their life, if you know what I mean. Yeah. The book face tries to hide a lot from us. You know how they are. Yeah, I end up thinking about someone and then going and looking for them. Most of the time. Whew. Boy, this is breaking down nice. It's hard to believe when we started, this was just shredded cabbage. And it's not hard to stand here and just pound. I just flaked a piece of cabbage. I don't even know where it went. I bet the dogs find it before I do. Yeah, the dogs will find it before I do. We have a cleanup crew. Their nicknames are Eureka, Hoover, and Dirtel. Things don't last if they drop here. Yeah, the dogs they run. Woohoo! Food! I think I'm going to get all this cabbage in this jar. That'd be awesome sauce. And I got a lot of liquid down here. In here. Can you see it down here? Splishy, splashy. That's necessary, though. We need that. And I'm creating a lot by pounding it, too. So we're getting a lot of liquid coming out of the cabbage. The salt helps pull that out. And then smashing it, we get a lot of liquid out too. I don't know if you were watching it in the living room. My friend Shannon said they had 716 inches of snow in the Rocky Mountains.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy? 716 inches.
How do you even deal?
Thanks, Donna. How do you deal? That's what I said. How do you do that? How do you manage that? He's back. Oh boy, we're starting that reconnect thing. I hope y'all are still with me. I saw a big flash on the phone, like it lost connection.
Sure.
I heard there was a fire near an electrical wire, or it was an electrical wire. I don't know. There was something to do with
Next town over.
a fire, yeah, in the next town over, and that's why we were having the power surges. That's what I heard. But I didn't want to have that connection problem that just showed up. So somebody let me know if you can still see me. Somebody make a comment and let me know that you can still see me. I would appreciate that, because mine went off and came back on. Okay.
You're still on.
Cool. Yours went off and came back on. Ours wasn't going off. It was surging. Like the lights were kind of dimming, and the refrigerator started groaning, and it sounded like a ghost. Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate it. Yeah, I had something show up that was trying to connect, so I didn't know if it was still on. Yeah, it was. The refrigerator started groaning, and thank you, Cindy. Because it was like everything was getting dim, and I didn't want something to happen like if the power went out, because then I'd lose Wi-Fi and I'd lose y'all. So I waited for a little bit to make sure everything was good. Ooh, we're almost done banging this all down in this jar. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. Yeah, we've got to. It's fitting in the big one. Whoop, whoop. This is good. This is cool. This is cool. So this is, if you are just joining me or you didn't see the beginning, I had a full head of cabbage and a half a head of cabbage, because I used half for St. Patrick's Day. So I had a full head and a half a head. And I'm not putting this liquid in here just yet, because I want to get as much liquid out of here, and I want to be able to assess how much is coming out to make sure that we have enough. So, but I got all the cabbage out of the bowl now. And this is the last of the pounding. It's looking really good, though. It's looking really good. Again, I thank y'all for being here. I appreciate ya. I got an enamelware bowl and an enamelware table. I bet that's why everything wants to keep slippy sliding. I think I dropped another piece of cabbage. Like I said, Hoover, Eureka, they'll find it. Yeah. They find it before I do. Thank you, Donna. You're so sweet. Yep, we got... This looks really, really good, guys. This looks really good. We got lots and lots of liquid down in here. And I got all my snow aggressions out. That I told them that I was driving by the church, that one down on Route 5. And the sign says, can I give up snow for Lent? I'm like, yeah! Even though I don't give up stuff for Lent. That's a good one. If I were going to give something up for Lent, it would be snow. Ooh, this is nice and juicy. This looks good. Ooh, this looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can show them on camera. If I turn it, you might not be able to see it. Let me see. I got salty hands, but here, let me try to show you. I don't know if y'all can see. There's liquid in there moving around. Ooh, the camera's a little crooked. It's the good stuff, guys. That's the good stuff. That's the stuff you need. I'm just going to crush it a little bit more because I really want as much of the liquid out as I can get. This is breaking down really good.
Didn't tip the jar.
Well, I'm trying to use both hands so I have more power. Just squish it. It's nice to have an extra set of hands. I have these hands off to the side that you can't see here.
White strips.
Ooh, this looks good. I think we're good.
Yep.
I think we're good.
Gotta pour the rest of the liquid.
And then I'm just going to take the rest of this liquid and put it in to make sure it's covered. And this is basically salt water. The one thing I do want to do, though, is taste a piece. I want to make sure it's salty enough. Although it was before, I want to make sure it still is because it pulled the water out. Tastes like salt water. And that's what you want. So, hold on, let me wash my hands, guys.
Did you move the weight?
I did because it was bouncing off the table.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was going bouncy bounce. I'm just wetting a paper towel a little bit here, guys. So I have a wet paper towel, and I'm just going to wipe this off just because we don't want all the gook. Because it kind of splishy splashed. So I'm wiping off the jar. And the glass weight. I should probably put this on. Can you move the camera so they can see what I do here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have this glass weight, and I'm literally just dropping it in. The glass weight is holding all the liquid above the cabbage, which is what you want. And now I have this lid, and I will link for this too. This is the top of the lid. It has a vent with a little piece of a rubber gasket kind of thing, and there's a rubber gasket in here. This vent helps to burp it, which is, this is going to release gases, and you can set the camera down. This is going to release gases, and when it releases the gases, because basically what this is I'll show you. There's like a little hole in the top, and this is like a little plunger that goes in the hole. So it just prevents it from getting, like, I don't know, bugs or whatever in it. But it's a safety mechanism, safety feature. And it also helps that when it starts, because this is going to bubble, it's going to release gases, but that means it's doing what it's supposed to do. So I just use this lid. It's literally that easy. It's literally, you just put this lid. And like I said, I will put a link on here when I get off for the things that I'm using. You just set this on here. You set it on your kitchen counter. After the first day, I like to just open it up and make sure that any really big gases that have gathered in there come out, because this vent will do its job. I'll set this on the counter, check it after a week. In my experience, but it depends on your taste, in my experience, generally 2 to 3 weeks is when I like it. Taste it. Taste it. If you want it to be a little bit softer, a little bit more, it's kind of like a bitter. You know how sauerkraut is, a little bitter. Check it after a week. I generally leave it at least 2 to 3 weeks. Once it's done, I just put a regular canning jar lid on here, well, I take that glass out and I check that glass. Sometimes I'll take that glass out. If it looks like it's kind of mooky, like a film on it, I just wash it in the sink and then put it back. You don't have to do that. Hi, Sharon. How are you? You don't have to wash the glass before you put it in. You missed all the crunching, punching, and squishing. We've been crunching, punching, and squishing here. But you just, literally, the only thing I would say I would recommend is to put this on a plate on the counter, because sometimes this, when it gets bubbling, and like I said, don't let that scare you. That doesn't mean it's spoiled. That doesn't mean it's no good. That means it's doing what it's supposed to do and you're good to go. But sometimes it'll bubble and it'll kind of come out that little vent hole on the top of this. But like I said, you don't have to use the equipment I used. You can literally go to Walmart. They literally have the same stuff at Walmart. It's a fermentation kit. You just get it in the canning section of Walmart. I honestly didn't look at the price because I only spotted it when I was looking for something else. But you can get the exact same thing at Walmart. The same thing at Walmart. I don't know if they have the glass. They might have the spring. But like I said, the spring works too. The spring works too. You just put the spring in and the lid on, and honestly, it's literally that easy. I'm not sure if the one from Walmart has the vent. If it doesn't have the vent, once a day, when you're cleaning up your kitchen from your morning dishes, your dinner dishes, whatever you're doing, once a day, take that top off, release the gases. Most important thing is, though, make sure all your cabbage is covered with that liquid. You see that liquid? That's all the way down to the bottom. And it's down to the bottom because we crushed every layer. And that's all you have to do is make sure it's all covered with that liquid. It's a nice, salty, briny liquid. And it's going to bubble. It's gonna look funky. It's not, I don't think it smells funky. But I guess somebody might smell something I don't smell, you know. But like I said, first day, pop it open, release any of those initial gases. But if you have that vent in the top, set this on the counter. Don't put it in a sunny spot. That'll ruin your process. But just set it on your counter, out of direct sun, on a plate. Check it after a week. In my opinion, I prefer 2 to 3 weeks. You'll buy a jar from me. Well, like I said in the beginning, Sharon, I don't can this because this, you don't have to can sauerkraut. This has really super probiotics if you don't can it. When you can it, you actually, like, the canning process is to thanks, Peggy. The canning process, and I will take pictures and update y'all as the process goes along. But the canning process kills that bacteria that you really need. It's really good for you. So, and once you decide, okay, this is how I want it, you put it in the fridge, and honest to goodness, guys, you can leave it in your fridge indefinitely. There's no time frame. It doesn't last that long for me. It doesn't last that long. I use sauerkraut for a lot. I use it like when I make, I get fresh Polish sausage from the farm. Although I don't have the link kits, but I do. I have been processing my own, grinding my own meat and adding seasonings to make sausage. But I usually just freeze the sausage, which I could actually can the sausage, but I freeze the sausage. And I don't put it in links because the only time I really use links is if I'm making the Polish sausage, which I just get at the farm, or if I want Italian sausage on a roll with peppers and onions. So I don't use links a lot. If I'm using sausage, I would take it out of the link anyways. Like if it was Italian sausage, or I make Italian sausage, but I don't put it in links. If I want the links, I get them from the farm. If I'm making just regular pork sausage, like, I guess it would be compared to like maybe Jimmy Dean, I guess, kind of. It's actually, what do they call it? They call it pork sausage. I don't know. That's the only thing I've only ever heard it called, pork sausage. But I use that when I make pigs in a blanket, because when I make pigs in a blanket, I make pigs in the blanket. Pigs meaning pork sausage. The blanket is the cabbage. So that's how I make pigs in a blanket. I don't make sausage rolls. I make pigs in a blanket. But I use the pork sausage, like that I make, the pork sausage. But I make the pork sausage. And if y'all want to see how I do the meat, I would love to share it with you. I don't have any problem. I'll pick up some meat at the farm. She's got the best fresh. And I know that Peggy probably knows. I know Sharon, you know, Urbanowitz Acres. That's my go-to for all my stuff. My eggs, my food. I get my monthly basket there. I started getting my food from her, and I have a tough time buying stuff at the grocery store because the taste is better. It just tastes better. And I'll go in there and say, hey, I'm making some hamburger, and she shows me what meats I need to make the hamburger, and she's helped me a lot. So she knows I make the pork sausage, and she's helped me. She's wonderful. And if you don't live around here, I guarantee you have a local farmer somewhere that you can reach out to and get. I highly recommend supporting your local farmers. They are the means to our food in this country. Just do it, because if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have food. The next time I make pigs in the blanket, oh, see, and there, no problem, girl. They taste delicious. Actually, I learned how to do that. That goes back to that German heritage, I guess. I learned how to do that because my mom said, I don't know if it was my grandmother or my biological father, they're the ones who showed her how to do it, and that's how I grew up. That when I had pigs in a blanket, we had pigs in a blanket. There's not, like, I see how people make sausage rolls. They don't look the same, and I don't know, the way they make them, to me it almost is like the way you make stuffed peppers, except they put it in cabbage. So I don't know. Even when I make stuffed cabbage soup, I do use hamburger, but I use hamburger in my pork sausage. I still have to have the pork sausage in it because to me it's still it's like a disassembled pig in a blanket. But when I make pigs in a blanket, I don't use hamburger. You know what I mean? Thank you. Glad I'm not the only one, because I don't know, if you're gonna have the hamburger and the rice and the sauce, which is good, I love to make stuffed peppers. Stuff it in a pepper. It's a totally different thing. So anyways, like I said, I will wind this up now. You can get a lot of these pieces to make this sauerkraut at the Walmart. You can get them at the Walmart. They're in the canning section. I haven't looked at it, so I'm not 100% sure if it has all the vent. But if you get it, I'm sure there's an instruction pamphlet or something in the box that explains, you know, how to manage what could be possibly slightly different from what I just showed you. But if anybody has any questions, shoot them at me. You can even shoot them at me if you're watching the replay. If that little red button isn't in the corner, you're watching the replay. Don't hesitate to ask. I'm willing to help you through it. And I hope I've inspired you. I hope I see somebody say they made some sauerkraut. And the next thing I'm going to be showing you, which is highly likely it's going to be tomorrow. I have some things I have to dry can here because I purchased a few things such as noodles and things of that nature. And now I opened my salt, so I have to reseal it. What I'm going to show you tomorrow is a cheap, easy way to dry can, aka preserve your dry goods, even crackers, cereal. You can put that in a jar, and I'm going to show you how to dry can it, and it will be good for up to 10 years. And I have open things that have been dry canned for years. crackers included, and cereal. It is still crunchy. It still tastes the same. I'm going to shock ya how easy it is. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow, because I have some things that I have to dry can, and I have to re-dry can my salt. So tomorrow I'm going to show you an easy way to preserve. I hope you try it soon, Peggy. Thank you so much. Tomorrow I'm going to show you how to preserve your dry goods for up to 10 years. So stay tuned. I hope to see you then. Love you too, Sharon. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And I hope I've inspired you. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a good evening, everybody, and God bless.